What's up, everybody? It's Greg with Delta, and this is the Be the Difference podcast. This podcast is all about making you a better person in your life and in your business with coaching on sales, leadership, mindset, marketing, everything under the sun when it comes to being an entrepreneur. We bring on guest speakers. Today, I've got the honor and pleasure of welcoming somebody I haven't had on the podcast in quite some time, Mr. Zach Allen. Zachary!
It has been a while, man.
It's been a hot minute, bro. I think it's been over a year since I had you on the podcast.
We've been busy behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's been crazy. And I kind of changed a lot of at the beginning of 2023. I want to say it was like January, February timeframe. I changed the structure where I was just interviewing people outside of the insurance industry.
Right.
And I like that. We're still doing that. We're still having that continue. But I'm changing the structure again. Instead of having 3 episodes a week, we have 2, Tuesdays and Thursdays. One will be somebody that I interview that's outside the industry. And another will be about insurance. Either me talking and doing a real talk, or just kind of hammering out about a topic that I got on my heart, on my mind, and I want to go on and just vent on, or bringing on Zach or another agent because we've done a lot of changes. We've switched over to Medicare, and we're going to break that out over this episode. Is really talk about our transition from insurance to Medicare, what it's been like, kind of dig into the nitty gritty, and set the stage for what we want the podcast to be going forward, talking about our journey into Medicare. And here's the reality of it is that I want this to be is a recording, or like a historical documentation of how we went from starting off in Medicare and how we were able to grow. So anybody can listen to this, can watch it, and use it as a blueprint for their own business if they decide, hey, I want to transition from life into Medicare, or I want to add Medicare into like my more consistently into my lines of business as a life insurance agency.
Yep.
Does that sound about right? Like what we're looking for?
Absolutely, man. And it's, you guys are going to get a real-time feel of how we grow through this, right? Greg and I have plans, like everything's down on paper, but you have to work your plans, but you guys are going to watch it happen. It's funny. You and I just jumped on here about 5 minutes ago. I had an agent call me that's coming on board, and, he's laid out his plan completely. He has an Excel document of how many leads he's going to buy each week. And by the 4th week can increase his lead spend and so on. He's got it laid out for the next year, and then by the next year, he should be able to afford 40 leads a week and grow from there. But it's laying out the plan and working your plan. So you guys are going to get to watch us grow in real time. And so far, we started this in late 22, and our plan has gone above and beyond what we initially did, what we initially wanted. So from agents contracted to applications sold, everything is on pace and doing better than what we expected.
Yeah, we also came in super modest.
Yes.
Because here's the thing, man, life insurance, the game, and this is for most companies. Everyone knows where I was. Let's just be fucking real, right? And most of you, if you're listening to this and you're in insurance, you know who I am and you know where I fucking came from, right? Like one of the companies, right? And so when I was at Family First, the way that they recruit there and the messaging they do, it's all very curated, right? It's designed to inspire, but also to get you to do what they want you to do, which is just go to work, right? And they do it with, the carrot dangling over your head. Every once in a while they use a stick. And I have examples of that too. But, the carrot is, hey, within a year, you can build a $1 million agency, right? And the average is to have 100 agents doing 10,000 average a month, right? Because you'll have some agents doing more, you have some agents doing less, but the average is going to be about 10 agents doing 10,000 AP issue paid a month. Get 100 of them. There's your $1 million agency.
Yep.
And if you have $1 million agency, even at 10% override spread, you're pulling in $100K a month, and that gets you on track to get your deal, right? And that's kind of what they would put out. And so you hear this all the time, and you really here's the fact of the matter is that there's not nobody, not everybody's gonna be able to do that. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. But every single time I've seen it's possible, there's always one of two things that happen. Either A, they came from an organization already, they were in insurance for like friggin' decade, right? And they knew, or they'd already started building a team, plus they knew a bunch of people. And when they left, they ended up recruiting all these people just by name recognition, because they left, they brought a bunch of people, they made some sales, and then they're like, hey, look, we're making way more money over here. And then they stacked their team that way. They were primed for that, and they had years and years and years behind them that they have already had the experience, they built the relationships, etc. Okay. One of the people that comes to mind is like Eric, what's his face? I don't remember his fucking name off the top of my head. Anyway, Eric, so on. So they came from like Globe Life. I don't remember.
Okay.
But it was him. He's part of the tribe, right?
Okay.
That's his team's name. Him, and then he came with a guy, and I can't remember his guy's name. It's been so long since I think about the names over there. I really don't give a shit. But anywho, they already, they propagated and they really promoted those two. Eric Hamadi. They promoted those two like they were, hey, they're doing all the right things and blase. And then they're saying this to a 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kid that's like having struggles getting into the industry. And they're like, well, why don't you just buy more leads? Why don't you just make more dials? Why don't you just talk to more people? Like, do more, be more like Eric Hamadi over here. He said, it's so simple. Anybody can do it. Oh, by the way, Eric Hamadi's been in the fucking industry for 10 years. Oh, right. By the way, when he came over here, he brought like 100 fucking agents from the other company.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that part. So that's one. The other is that you'll have people that will come in and that will become very friendly, and they'll basically just suck up to like a very high level manager, and then they get fed because they'll be like, I'll say and do whatever you want. Right. They made me, in order for me to go on podcasts, whenever I broke the record, they made me go on podcasts and lie. And I was like, and I was like very iffy doing it. And afterwards, that was this light switch that I was like, this isn't right. There's something wrong here. And then I started listening to the podcast, and I started realizing like all these people are lying to get on the podcast for recognition. Like all of them were. Right. Yep. I don't know about now because I don't watch the podcast. I haven't seen it since I left in 2021. This is now 2024. So if you're like, I'm on the podcast and I didn't lie, and I'm like, dude, I haven't watched the podcast, fucking. But I'm telling you, back then when I was on and I done it, I started reaching out to people and being like, oh, dude, you were on the podcast. You said you're using the internet life leads, like, and that's all you're selling. How many are you buying? How's it? And they're like, well, I'm using mailers now. Right. Dude, right. So you have these people that will say and do whatever. And here's the thing. It's almost always a female. It's almost always a fucking female. Yeah. Right? Like Nina, she was doing anything that fucking Andrew told her to do. Yeah. Anything. She would have said, she would have done anything. Right? And then also what Grady told her to do. So you have all these different, there's another one that she got it really young. She was pretty young. She's a Hispanic female. Anywho, so they prop up a few people like that. And then you have these people that already have all this experience, and they're propping them up and saying anybody can do it. And it's just not if everybody could do it, here's the thing, the system would fucking crumble and fail if every single person got $1 million agency and then made their deal. Right. There's not that much business in the fucking industry, A, and B, there's not that many agents, right? There has to be in every organization. Dude, McDonald's would fail if every single fry cook turned into a manager. Yep. You have to have fry cooks. You got to have somebody that's on the grill. You got to have people that are fucking mopping floors, bro.
You need the sheep.
Has to happen.
So yeah, you need the sheep, man. As many as hard as it is for people to realize, everybody is needed.
Yeah.
Everybody pulls it together. So, um, let's talk about the tide shifting on that industry. Back when you did your big month, I'm not saying it can't be done now, but back when you did your big month, that was COVID, right? That was
That is
right
very
around
true.
the.
That was during COVID. It was
Yep.
it was towards the end. I mean, COVID had already kind of died down a little bit, but
But let's think about that. At that point, you had people that were deathly afraid of dying. They
mhm.
were scared to death. They had COVID bucks coming in, so there was an excess of money.
Yeah, we did have that's true.
Yep,
We did
we had the
we
COVID
were
bucks.
getting the
So
money.
people were like, "Hey, I'm scared to die. I got this extra money. I'm going to get life insurance." Now the tides are shifting, right? Nobody's scared of COVID anymore. COVID hardly exists. Um, but now people are hurting. The economy's starting to shift.
Yeah.
People don't have the extra money, and what's the first thing they let go of? Their life insurance.
Life insurance, yeah.
It's so. We talked about this earlier on something else. The price of a mortgage mailer is now up to over $100.
Mhm.
Not as many people are buying. A lot more chargebacks. Like that model is changing drastically. I'm
Well,
not saying it can't succeed, but it's going to be a lot harder.
here's one of the reasons that I looked at Medicare and I really was like, okay, there's something here. Okay. As an insurance producer, because I just laid out, like, for every single person to get their deal or to like build $1 million agency, can it happen for a lot of people? Yes. And there's gonna be some people where there's gonna be more of a grind than others. It's just
Right.
because depending upon how much help you get and like what you do
That's
and
why.
how like, but if every single person was like, I'm fucking doing this, and they were committed to it, and they had just a singular focus of their daily actions, and they were doing the work, I believe that every single person could do it. But the fact of reality is that most people don't have that fucking discipline. That's the fact of reality. Okay.
Yep.
So let's just say that they are like, you know what? I'm just going to be an agent. I'm just going to be an agent. Fuck it. I'm just going to write my own business. I'm only going to be responsible for my own business, right? For my own book of business, which there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
You could have a great life, good career, make a lot of money. Could you be able to make $1 million renewals and residuals and life insurance
Never done the math, but it's going to be
in 10
many,
years?
many, many years.
In 10 years,
Yeah, probably not.
right now. And if there's somebody here that says that you can, show me the fucking numbers.
Right.
Show me what policies you're selling, how many policies you have to sell to where at the end of 10 years, your renewals and your residual income sits you at 7 figures at $1 million a year.
Yeah, and let's not get this confused when we're talking residuals, right? Because some people might not know what this is.
Yeah.
We're not saying, yeah, you can make $1 million in the life insurance industry, right? You can go sell a bunch of annuities. You can elephant hunt all day long, find annuities. That's wonderful. But the following year, you're still looking for the same deal. Still looking for the same deal. That's not how you're going to make your money. Residuals is you get paid your first year, you get paid your second year, third year, fourth year, for the rest of the life of that client. That's what we're talking about. Is you no longer have to hunt because you're getting paid on the work you did yesterday.
Yeah.
That's the game changer.
And so in Medicare, when last year I went to this conference and I was watching as this guy was talking about Medicare and the power of renewals and residuals and how they stack. And he even factored in, I need to, we're going to do a live and we're going to talk about this and we're going to show the numbers because I have a spreadsheet that we can show, the PDF document. But he was showing and breaking out how if an individual agent simply wrote 10 policies a month on average, 120 policies a year, also factoring in a 20% fall off year after year after year, that after 10 years of continuing to do this, at the end of 10 years, they would be making 6 figures or 7 figures, $1 million a year. Because in Medicare, you get paid on the same policy over and over and over and over and over and over. And there's no, like, it's not like Medicare supplementation where it's a 7-year. Medicare Advantage is as long as it's on the books and the client's alive. So if you're factoring in a 20% fall off every single year on top of that, right? And as long as you're staying consistent. And here's the thing, doing 10 policies a month is fucking easy. You can do 10 policies a day. Okay.
Yep.
Like I've seen it happen with mailers, just like boom, and it's the easiest thing. So when all these pieces started to play together, I was like, this is just a much better system because there's going to be people that aren't going to grow. They're not going to grow an agency, right?
Right.
But they're okay with going and writing 10 policies. Rodney goes and writes 10 policies right now, right? A
Yep.
month, 10 to 20.
Yep.
And as long as he continues, he's going to continue to build up that residual and that was those renewals, and it'll continue to build and build and build and build. And then guess what, bro? Then he's going to be making several six figures to $500,000 over a few years.
Yep.
And and that's the power of it. Now, will Rodney build a big agency? If I were a betting man, I'd say probably not. I don't think that's his desire, nor is that his strength.
Right.
But he doesn't mind grinding it out and just kind of mining to himself.
Yep.
Right. And there's a lot of people that are like that. And that's why I love now, I've kind of fallen in love with the Medicare side is because we don't need we don't need to have a large team. And we don't need to hire everybody. I don't need to go hire the world because there's only so many people that will actually write life insurance. And in order to get 100 writing agents to do 10,000 a month, you're hiring minimum 2,000 people.
Yep.
2,000.
So let's talk about that. We started Delta. I personally, on my leg, had several hundred agents, right?
Yeah.
And before Delta, that other company, I had probably 2x that. The money, dude, my phone blew up 24/7. I would get phone calls at 1 a.m., agents just asking random ass questions, agents that weren't doing anything. It became a massive, massive headache of, hey, are you guys going to go to work or you're just going to keep calling me? Because I can't produce. Like I can't do anything because my phone rings all day. I'm trying to help you guys because ultimately I do enjoy helping. But on the life insurance side, you run into a point where you can only sell so much on your own pen, where you need to hire to keep growing, right? On the Medicare side, for me, it was eye-opening. It's like, I can make $1 million on my own. I don't need anybody. So do I enjoy mentoring? Absolutely. The people that want to learn. So you come on board and you're working, I'm going to take care of you. We talk daily, we get everything going, we make sure you're moving. But if you're not working, I cut you. I don't need the extra stress. I don't need the extra phone calls of somebody that's not doing anything. We want the people that are actually going to work. It's rewarding in that aspect. So for me, the big difference for Medicare is I don't need anybody. I don't have to tolerate what I used to tolerate. It can be just me, and that for me was absolutely game changing. You don't have to play those games anymore of, oh, I need to recruit 200 people this month, so we have 2 writers. That's no.
Here's the thing: is just like if somebody wasn't like, we had a conversation with a guy. Shit, it was like the end of it was end of December, beginning January, maybe end of December, I think. It was before the new year. It was before the new year. We had a conversation with a guy and here's the thing with Medicare is there's only so many levels, right?
Yeah.
It's not like life insurance where you can be like, oh, I can get all the way up to 150 or 140 or this. No, dude, there's 6 levels. That's it. There's only 6 levels. Okay. So whatever IMO you're with, like the actual top. And here's the thing. There's no individual agent that's at the highest level unless they've been in Medicare for a long time and they've produced a shit ton. You have to actually produce with the carriers to get that level. They can't just get it because someone wants to hire you. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So IMOs will have the highest level, right? And then you have to work your way up. Like you can't just start. What happens is that people are like, oh, I can get you the highest level, right? One, they're not going to get you the highest level because the IMO's at the top. 2 is they can't actually put you at if one's the highest, they can't put you at level 2 because you haven't done any fucking work. So what they'll do is they'll put you at like 4, right? 4 or 5, and then they'll cut you a check for the difference between 4 and 2, which every single level is only $50 override. That's it. And every carrier is slightly different, but average about $50. So if someone at level 6, the bottom level, writes a policy, Level 5 gets a $50 override. Level 4 gets the $50 override. Level 3 gets a $50. Level 2 gets $50, and level 1 gets a $50 override. All up the board, right? So if you have an agent at 6 and you're at 4, you get a $100 override. If you're at 3, you get a $150 override on that business, right?
Right.
So you may be like, oh, well, I'm at the highest level. No, baby bird, you're not. Probably you're probably just getting compensated by the top. But here's the catch: is that every single person that we sat with and we talked to is like, they're not getting support because they're getting such a high override, and they're getting thrown money for every policy that they do, but they're not actually getting the overrides. They're not actually getting the residuals of that, right? Because there's the residual piece of this. And then they're not getting a bunch of leads. So like we were like, hey, how was your lead flow? And they're like, well, he spent like, what was it, 10 grand during AEP on leads.
Yeah.
And he ran out of leads and he did like 160 or 170 policies.
Right.
I was like, dude, I had more leads than I could fucking shake a stick at. I did 330 policies and like I still have more leads.
Yeah.
Like which would you prefer?
Yep.
Like, and like I'm at a level 4, right? And he was getting paid at like a level 3, I think, or something like that. But he was really like, he was really
neck and neck with you.
Yeah, he was like neck to neck with me in reality, but they were paying him extra at like a level 3.
Right.
And I was like, well, yeah, but I still made more. And I didn't have to spend as much on leads. And I still have leads for my team. Like, how are you going to support your team? Building them. So a lot of it is like really paying attention to the support aspect of it when it comes to Medicare and the team that you align with. We just happen to luck out and partner with somebody, with Josh, that really does take care of his team and has built great relationships with the carriers so that we are the benefactors of all that support.
Correct.
From the carrier. So I know it was a little bit of I went off on a tangent, but ultimately, what we're trying to paint, I'll let you jump in here in a second, Zach. What we're trying to paint is there's all these different reasons that we looked at Medicare when we made the transition, and it was between getting the support, lead flow, looking at the economy, and like the actual like, hey, what does it look like the life insurance industry is going with cost of leads, with amount of chargebacks. There's not one person I've talked to in the insurance industry in any single company. And I know a lot of people in different companies that are not faced with more chargebacks, either them or their team or a combination of both, with roll-up debt.
Yep.
It is getting worse and worse and worse. And so I saw the writing on the wall and was like, hey man, I kind of want to do Medicare, and that's what we worked on last year. And so,
Yep. There's so many points to touch on this. You were talking about the roll-up debt and whatnot. I've talked to many multiple $1 million producers, right? Their teams did multiple $1 million. They're flat broke. They're drowning in chargebacks. They're getting vectored. But when you watch the YouTube videos and everything's wonderful. Flying around on a private jet and a yacht, everything.
Yeah.
Nope, broke. All freaking fake. But for me, like we quickly went into earlier, like Medicare is just a math problem. As far as like the leads go, we talked about the mortgage protection mailers being, $100, $105 a piece now. Medicare mail, $34. Brand new piece of mail, $34. Oh, here's the other thing. What turned me on to Medicare is Josh took me out in the field because I didn't want anything to do with it, but he's like, come with me. So we did. Dude, we had 10 appointments. We did not drive more than 6 minutes to each house. That's crazy. When you're doing final expense or mortgage protection, you're all over the state. You're, driving 45 minutes this way, 45 minutes that way to be no-showed. My show rate for Medicare is probably 90+%. Like the clients are just there, period. Your leads are a lot cheaper. There's just so many benefits to it compared to life. It makes complete sense. I actually talked to an agent yesterday. This is another interesting fact. He's like, hey, I like annuities and, I do advanced markets. And I'm like, that's cool. What's awesome about Medicare is when you're doing your mail drops, You can target market your audience, right? You can choose, I want turning 65 over $100,000 incomes, or I want over 65 low income for your Medicare Advantage. But when you target your turning 65 and your higher income people, guess what? They're turning 65. They're retiring. They got retirement accounts.
Yeah.
There's your cross sells. You know how many more annuities you're going to fall in by making Medicare your primary source and then supplementing your other stuff? I mean, when you're doing the over 65 and low income, there's your final expense. You know, can you sell immediately on that appointment in the home? No, but after your client, you can retouch them and go back to that. But there's so many more avenues. Medicare opens that door to those avenues. It's just a far better model. I've talked to a lot of people, and it seems the general trend is life insurance as your primary is becoming very, very difficult. Life insurance as a supplement to what you're doing is where it's at.
Yeah. And also, this is also, I will caveat all this for the most part. This is our opinion based on experience that we've had in the field. And this is now my 7th year in insurance.
Yep.
So it's not that I have anything against life insurance. I still have life insurance contracts. I still have people that are doing life insurance, and that's great.
Yep.
But I've decided that I want to focus on growing Medicare as a wealth building tool. And I will tell you, so there was a group of people. We had somebody, David Doring, that was on our team when we first came to Delta, right? David Doring, and he brought a bunch of people, and they were all from WFG. They all came from WFG. And he had a bunch of people that were in his team, right? That were all about from the same company. Some of them were not, right? And so in 2022, at the end of 2022, right after I had the breakup, he comes and he's like, "Hey man, we're leaving. We're gonna go do our own thing," because they were just starting to look at premium financing, and they were partnered up with a guy. I don't remember this clown's name, but he was promising them the world, and they wanted to do premium financing with them. And David Fisher, who was pretty much David Doring's primary writer, like he was writing the most business. He'd been spending so much time. This guy that's doing premium financing, he was like, "Hey, I want to do this," and it kind of put it started a chain reaction of events where Alvin was like talking to the guy and like, "Hey, I'm going to go too," and then David was kind of forced into it, and I don't know all the details behind I just know what was told, right? But and also what it looked like. Anywho, they all left. We tried to stop it. You know, I wanted to work with them, and I liked working with David. I liked his personality, but you know, they left. Well, the guy that they went to private finance with, he ended up trying to screw him over anyways, and he didn't provide support he says he's going to provide. So then they end up leaving. They go somewhere else, and they're kind of starting their own thing with Valorum or whatever the fuck they're called. And you know, right around the start of, I mean, it was like maybe a week before we started AEP. I get a call from Cameron Zahuri, who left with David, you know, and and Cameron's all like, "Hey man, I'll see how yours going," blah blah blah. You know, we all like, we just want to, we're all incredible grateful for what you did when you left Family First, and all the things that you said, and like really this like leading the path and the charge on that, because you saved a lot of agents and this, that, the other. This is what he's telling me.
Yeah.
You know, and they went to this trip. They had this trip in, I don't know, Cabo or something like that, or Cancun.
Something like that. Yeah.
And he was like, you know, his trip, and we were talking about you. And he's like, I just think it'd be great if we could work together again, right? If you come and work with us. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, what are you trying to say? And he was like, yeah, like come move your contracts with us. And I was like, dude, that ain't happening, bro. You know,
Right.
ain't happening. And I was like, I don't think that you guys understand. Like when I partnered with Willie, when I talked to Brian Pope, like I gave him my word. I was gonna not quit, not this, like there were certain promises that I made.
Right.
Regardless of if you guys stay with me or not, like I'm not forcing that, but I have to stick with my word. And they've stuck to their word of everything that they said that they would provide. So I have to, like, it doesn't work that way. Like, I don't care if, I was like, I'll be honest, man, if every single agent left, I'm still going to be here. I'm still gonna be doing my thing. And
Right.
like there's more agents in the fucking in the nation. I will build with the right agents. I will, I'll build a culture of success. I'll do it myself. I don't mind. That doesn't bother me. I'm not going to just flip flop back and forth. I've already kind of experienced that. And a lot of the flip flop was because I felt forced into it, but I don't feel forced into it now because the people I'm with are actually abiding by their word. Right. And then he kind of almost threatened. He was like, well, there's already some people that have left, and I think more people will leave. And like, I was like, dude, you can take everybody. You can take all of them. I don't give a shit. Here's why. Because the people that are with us that are doing Medicare and life, they ain't leaving. I'll promise you right now, they're not going to fucking leave. Because they couldn't even fucking sell on life. And when they started selling on Medicare, the only reason they're selling life now is because they're selling Medicare, and Medicare was way easier. And now they're actually making more money than ever. So he's like, well, we're making this over here, we're making that, and here's how much the leads are great, blah blah blah. Which we've got people that are over there, and we have people that are coming and talking to us. And it's not. Here's the thing: there is no fucking great. There is no 100% system. It's not paradise over there. It's all these people that are just parroting in order to try to recruit, in order to make it seem like it's the best thing ever. But read between the fucking lines sometimes, right? And so I just looked at him. I was like, dude, ain't happening, right? I appreciate it, but it's just not happening. Like, I'm not switching my contracts. And here's the thing is that I knew then, I didn't say it to him, but I knew then. I was like, dude, I'm going to work. AEP starts in I think it was like the following fucking week. Because this was like Monday.
Right before it, yeah.
The Monday before. I was like, we're going to have AEP start. And I'm going to work AEP for 10 weeks. And I'm going to deposit more from those 10 weeks of work than you have the entire time that you've been over there. I promise you that. Right. And or especially if you just compare the same time frame, right? The same time frame and the amount of work that each of us are doing. I don't know what he's deposited, but if he's listening to this, hey, dude, we'll go ahead. We'll compare bank statements. Okay. Because I've already hit over 6 figures, and I'm looking like when all the deposits are done, it'll be well over 150K for 10 weeks of work. You can you beat that? Like, really?
But here's the sexy part about that. Now, some of that's overrides, right? So your deposits will be reduced and whatnot. That same deposit's coming again next year. Probably let's consider 80%. Oh, and it just multiplies. Meanwhile, over here, I'm still trying to dig for gold and chase these elephants and these IUL leads and whatever the case may be. And again, like you said, their leads might be okay, but what people need to realize, there is no perfect lead. End of discussion. Like you're going to have a percentage you can't contact. You're going to have a percentage you're chasing. You're going to have a percentage of no's. That's just part of the game.
And here's the thing: I have no ill will against any of them that left. I wish them. I want everyone to succeed, and I hope that they do succeed, right? But what I don't like is like the veiled threats. What I don't like is the constantly trying to here's my thing, dude. If your leads are so fucking great, right? If you're like, dude, we're producing so much. If you're producing so much that you fucking can't handle it, you should be making so much money that you don't have to keep going and digging out the well of other places. Do you got to go back to your old company, WFG, to start pulling people in and getting them to pay a $5,000 fucking buy-in to your program? And because you're making so much money? Are you serious right now? Like, no, that doesn't compute. If the fucking quality is that great, you would be so busy with business and making a lot of money that you wouldn't be trying to snake over and let me go back to that well and see who I can pull out. Oh, I got Joey. Fine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't care. That's great. That's cool.
But because again, this goes back to I don't need anybody.
Yeah.
Same thing happened to me. Same type of meeting, different person. Same veiled threats. I don't care. I sleep at night just fine. I don't need anybody. Have fun. If somebody doesn't want to be, and let's be real, there's very few loyal people in this business. Yeah. It doesn't matter, man. I'm going to be just fine. Now, I promise you, the guys that are working with me now on Medicare, they're not going anywhere. Yeah. We've helped each other. We have a solid relationship, and the team building is there. And I would rather have 10 producing Medicare agents than 500 life insurance
And
agents.
that's the great thing is that here's I was going to do some fucking numbers real quick. I'm going to do some fucking numbers, okay? Let's say because here's the thing is that you don't realize just how easy it is to build on Medicare until you start doing it, right? And
Yep.
how easy does it sell? Okay. So case in point, we talked about this on the live, but we had an agent, Brian Blackie, barely selling any life, like barely. I think he sold like 3 or 4 policies within a year, right? And it was just struggling. But he showed up to all the trainings. He was always there. He was fucking gung ho. Like I was just like, okay, he wants it, but he needs some help.
Right.
So switching on Medicare. Once he gets Medicare, he's doing 20 policies a month, 20, and it's like clockwork. And I'm like, how much are you working? He's like 2 hours a day. Like it's
Right.
like not that much every day consistently, but he's working 2 hours a day, getting about a policy a day, Monday through Friday. That's it.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Doing it over the phone. So that's like, okay, well, let's say that you have 10 agents. Okay. Let's say you have 10 agents that are like that. They're doing 20 policies, just like Brian. Not hard to do, by the way. And they're doing 20 policies a month, which comes out to 200 policies, and you get a $50 override in each of those policies. That right there is $10,000 in override every single month.
Yep.
Okay. So you're already hitting 6 figures on your overrides just for having 10 agents. Okay.
Yep.
Now, once you get here's the crazy part. Now, once you get up to, let's say that you start to build, right? And you get up to the 3rd level. Okay. So now you get $100 override for these people. And you've got 20 agents. Okay. And all these 20 agents are doing the same thing. They're doing 20 policies a month. And now you're getting $100 override. That's $40,000 a month. Okay. Just for override. And that's not hard to get 20 agents that are doing that well. Right. And this also builds and stacks. Even your overrides become a residual and renewal for years on end. So what may be the first year as getting, let's say $500,000 at that rate, right? First year you do it. 3 years down the road, if it's the same, if it doesn't move anywhere and it just stays exactly the same, which it shouldn't, you should be growing a little bit every single year, right? Dude, that same exact with the bonuses and the residuals and everything. Well, now you'll be sitting at like 600,000, 700,000, like an additional 100, 200,000 from the years of it building, right? So, it's the numbers are stupid, honestly. And so, I don't want to belabor too much more because we've been talking now for going on 40 minutes. I kind of go back and forth. It's been all over the place. Ultimately, though, we wanted to tell everybody we're going to be doing a Medicare series talking about what we're doing, how we're doing it. This is really the why, like the behind why we decided and like kind of the initial struggles that we had. So I appreciate everybody, listening to now. Zach, what do you have for the rest of everybody? Last like parting shots, you know, from your standpoint on somebody thinking about going to Medicare.
Yeah, man. It's really just breaking down the numbers. Reach out to me, have a conversation with me, and we can really dig deep into what your issues are and see if Medicare solves it. It might not be the answer to
Yeah.
what you're looking for. It's not for everybody, and that's completely okay. But watch for our lives and our other podcasts we're going to be doing because we're going to break down, how can you get to $1 million in 5 years? What's that look like? So pay attention to the content coming out. Reach out to one of us, and let's have a conversation about it. Let's see if it is a good fit for you. That's really what it comes down to.
And it really is the Medicare really is one of those things that, like anyone can do it. And even if you do it by yourself, it'll take more time, but you can build up to where you're a 7-figure earner and you're a millionaire if you're willing to do the work for 10 years straight.
Yep.
There's that's a small career, by the way. Like, if people hear that and they're like, well, I don't want to do it for 10 years, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, if you went to go work with any Fortune 500 company for 10 years, do you think you're as starting fresh, by the way? as a brand new employee, do you think that you're going to get to where you're making 7 figures by the end of 10 years? The answer is fucking almost never.
So let's touch on something real quick. I'm going to be vague about the company because it's a big one, but we have contracts with a big retail location that during AEP you can go sit there. These are free to go sit there, and you take clients that come to you for help, right? So now you're getting free leads. I've spoken to an agent that had done that for 10 to 15 years. You know what he does all year? He travels to Dubai, travels to Saudi Arabia, just travels everywhere, and then only works October to December.
Yeah. That's
And
what a
happens
lot
here.
of Medicare agents do.
Yeah.
They go hard in the paint October to October, December. They're like, dude, it's fucking game on. 10 weeks of just grinding my ass off. And then they reap the benefits and the rewards for the remainder of the year.
Yep.
Hell, if I did the same thing I did last year, which I was grinding, but it wasn't like I couldn't breathe. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I was just like sprinting so hard that I was so winded that by the time that the 10 weeks got done, I'm like, oh, I hated this. It wasn't that bad. Now 300 is a lot, and that's not a normal amount for most people, but it wasn't something that I couldn't do again. Right?
It's all a math problem.
It's all a math problem.
How many do you need a day? That's what it comes down
If
to.
I did that for the next 5 years, on top of the overrides and everything, while also building, I'm sitting at 7 figures residuals.
Yep.
Easily.
Yep.
By myself. And that's primarily my work. I'll probably be sitting at close to 2 million, actually.
Right.
That's why I'm like, dude, I wish I'd have fucking started this when I first started insurance, because I would be at a way different level right now. Because of the residual, stupid. Like, that's the great thing, is that at the end of the day, once you like get into it and you start to build up your residual, you can literally be like, dude, it's summertime. I want to go spend the entire summer on a yacht.
Yep.
And just go rent a yacht, you know,
Sure. I mean,
and like travel the world. And you could, because you're going to keep getting paid your residuals.
Yeah. Yeah. After OEP, we're meeting up in Honduras.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, we got a plan as a bunch of Medicare. We're all going to Honduras for a week.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, which I'm excited. That's gonna be dope.
Yep. It is, man. But yeah, there's really not much to it. I mean, like I said, we're going to dig deeper on all of our lives and our podcasts, and we'll have some slides for you guys to really break down the numbers. And it's like I said, if you want to have a personal conversation about it, you feel free to shoot me a message on Facebook or Instagram, and we can schedule a call and see if it's right.
What's the best way for them to reach out to you if they see this and they were like, dude, I want to talk to Zach?
Either a message on Facebook or Insta, or you can send me a text. My number is 609-610-6484. I don't necessarily answer phone calls until I know who it is, because my phone does ring all day. So shoot me a text, let me know who you are, and we'll schedule a call.
Yeah. You guys know how to follow me. My Instagram, my Facebook. Anyone that messages me, even if it just goes to a message request, I look at those too. And if you say, hey, I'd probably listen to this, or hey, I'm interested in talking more about Medicare, I'm happy to have a conversation. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to bring you on or be like, hey, come work with me. It's got to be a good fit. And so where we truly are selective about who we want to bring on, and that they're fit within our culture, they fit with what we're trying to do, and they want to be a part of it, right? Because they want to do the same thing. There's a culture of success. I'm not looking to bring on every single failed agent that did life insurance that sucked, and then they think, well, man, I sucked at this, but maybe I'm going to do this. You got to be able to do work too. And if you're not willing to work, like I'm selling policies, Zach's selling policies, all of our agents that are contracted with us that are getting support, they're selling policies. So if you're not willing to sell and like actually go forward, it's probably not a good fit for you, and there's other people that do this. There's other people that will, there's other organizations that will hire you if you want to get your feet wet with Medicare, and they'll put you in front of a phone and they'll provide leads, and they'll pay you a small little bonus, or they'll pay you a small little commission, like half of the commission or something like that, for every single policy you sell. Right. And then they'll keep the other half because it's profitable for them to do so. There's nothing wrong with that, right? If you want to get your feet wet and get used to it before you go buy your own leads, there's a lot of different methods that you can do. There's a lot of companies that do this. So, but if you're willing to buy some leads and go get to work, like you ain't gonna have to do. You're not gonna have to dial that hard
Right.
to get people on the phone and actually sit with them. It's a different ball game. So.
Yep. Completely different.
Alrighty. Well, Zach, thank you so much for jumping on the Be the Difference podcast and for your insights and talking to me about our journey in Medicare. For anyone watching, if you got any value from this, and do me a favor, share this content with somebody else that can also get value from it. Maybe another life insurance agent that you know that's struggling, or someone that's brand new life insurance that wants to learn more about all the ins and outs. It means the world to both Zach and I that you share this content, and you might actually help somebody to make a decision that helps to make them profitable in the future just by doing something simple. Sharing, it takes 30, 60 seconds to rate, review, subscribe, and share, but it means the world to both Zach and I. This has been the Be the Difference podcast. I'm your host, Greg Birch. Until next time, deuces. We'll see you.